All right, John Ojaka here, and in this video, I'm going to give you a quick sort of walkthrough of how you might go about customizing your site. We've provided dozens of, I think, very beautiful templates for you to choose from, and they're very easy to customize and make your own by simply swapping out background images, maybe changing the color of your buttons and things like that. But you can do a more significant overhaul, and there are certain sort of, I don't know, design shortcuts or hacks that you can use to really make something your own, and I just wanted to kind of walk you through that process. So before you even select a template, it's a good idea to have something in mind. If you have nothing in mind, then honestly, I would recommend finding a template that you like, selecting it, and simply keeping it simple, swapping out the background images, perhaps changing the fonts, and you should be happy. You can create something from scratch, but if you're not a designer, it's going to be challenging to make it look slick and pro, or at least anywhere near as slick and pro as our templates look. So I would start with a template, but it's not a bad idea to get some inspiration. You might want to browse the web, find other similar sites that you like, or as I'll show you, you can use design tools like perhaps Canva or something like that to get some inspiration as well. So let's say, and I'm just going to go to my own website, which is built in TunePipe, but because I don't want to use a real world example. Let's say you found a website of an artist and you really like the look of it. Emulating a layout in TunePipe is very easy by just creating custom blocks and columns and dragging things around. But let's say you want to emulate the fonts and the colors and things like that. Well, I'm in Chrome. I believe most browsers have an inspect tool. You can just right click, select inspect, come up here to this element selector tool, and then hover over it, and you'll see that that window has popped up. I can't go over to it because the second I move my cursor, it goes away. But you'll see a color line and a font line, and you can see the hex code there. It's E1, E1, E1 for that color. That's the color I'm using. And the font is Ubuntu. I don't know how you say that. Ubuntu. And in some instances, when you are having trouble with this or can't snag the color, I'll just take a screenshot, upload it into something like, I use a free tool called Photopia, and then I'll just use the color select tool to see what the actual hex code is. But usually you should be able to figure it out using the inspect tool. So right away, if I wanted to emulate that font, I now know the font name, and I can either add it or select it. TunePipe gives you access to over 1,000 Google fonts. So you've got a lot to select from by default, but if it's not there, you can also upload fonts, and I'll show you how to do that in a sec, and you can change all of the colors. So that's one quick hack, but we're not going to spend as much time on that today. Instead, we're going to go over to a tool like Canva. I have a pro account. You don't need a pro account to do most of this. But it's handy. But I'm just looking for inspiration. So they have website templates. I don't think they're great, so I'm not even going to use that. I want to actually just look for designs. I'm probably going to find things like posters and such specific to my genre. So for example, I don't know, I could try hip hop. Let's just try hip hop. Let's just see what comes. And I can get ideas. Let's say I don't know. Let's say I really like the look of this, and I wouldn't mind my website having this kind of look and feel. I could select that. There was one I was playing with just to go a totally different direction. We'll go country music, and I was playing with this one. This was kind of bold. Let's say I like the look of this. I'm gonna just click customize this design, and again. It's been a long time since I haven't had a premium account. I believe you can still edit with a free account. You just have to pay if you want to download. I think. But if not, you may have to upgrade briefly to get access to certain designs. But there should be more than enough free designs. Again, we're just looking for inspiration. And it's just really handy because if I like the look of something like this and wanted to create a website around it, I can just click on the text, and I can see that this is ultra font, and I can click on this and get the hex code for the color and so forth. So let's say I'm all set. This is like a magazine cover, so I'm not going to try to emulate it exactly. What I'm doing is just benefiting from the design skills of a more established designer. They know what works they've selected a family of fonts and some colors that all work well together. We've got this white, sort of some, I guess you could call it white, but it's almost silvery white kind of thing happening. This peach kind of color and black, and we've even got some distressed quality around the edges. All things that we can kind of replicate inside of TunePipe. We're not, again, going to try to do it exactly, but we're gonna draw inspiration from this. So the next thing I do is come over to TunePipe, click Create a Website. And again, if you've already created your account, you've already got a website, you can deactivate that site and create a new website. You can have as many websites as you want, as long as only one is active, or up to 3 if you have our Pro plan. But I would just scroll through templates and find something that was, getting kind of close as a starting off point. And to my mind, that might be Amplify. Amplify is a nice right down the middle kind of template that works for a lot of different genres. So I'm going to select that and use that as my base. And now what I want to do is kind of tweak this to make it more reminiscent of that Canva design. So first thing I want to do is come over here to the global style settings, and we're going to do some tweaking. We're gonna add some fonts. Now, you can only have up to 8 fonts at a time. Not all of the templates have 8 fonts. If I click Add Fonts, it's going to say you can only have 8 fonts. So I know I need to delete a few. You don't want to delete necessarily your featured fonts in case you want to revert to them. You can see it's using Hammersmith. You can see here that we're using Open Sans. So we're certainly going to want to leave those. But I know that I can go and, oops, I did the wrong thing. Add fonts. I know I can delete Bitter 700. I know I can delete Rye. I know I can delete Roboto, and that should be enough. And again, I'm gonna stick with Google Fonts, but if you ever want to upload anything custom, you can click Upload Custom Fonts here and do so. Now I'm gonna go again back to my Canva design. It's Ultra. I'm going to click Add Font, and I'm going to add Ultra, and select that. And let's see what else we've got. Here I've got what is it? Volcorn, it looks like. So I come here. I'm going to type Add Font. I'm going to type in Volcorn. And how heavy of a font are we looking there? It's moderate. So, I don't know. I'm going to go with 600. I can come back and add a different one if I don't like the look of that. That's just the font weight. And then I'm going to click Confirm. Now, sometimes you're going to run into fonts you can't find. Like, for example, there's this one here, which is, it's Tan Pearl. But if I come back here, click Add Font, try to add it, I won't be able to. There's nothing in here called Tan Pearl because it's not a Google font. So what you'll need to do in the event that you really want to replicate something is just kind of do the Google deep dive. You can Google things like Google font similar to Tan Pearl. There are a lot of different free font selector tools or font finder tools out there. You can play with them. It tends to be a little time consuming to find something that's really close. You'll get a lot of not errors, but they'll tell you, here's a perfect match, and then it looks nothing like it. So you're going to have to play around and find an equivalent that you're ultimately happy with, or go and add it as a custom font, which would be perfectly fine. But for what I'm doing, I don't feel I need that, so I'm going to just omit it, at least in the interest of keeping this tutorial nice and tight. So I've added the fonts. I want to come back to global style settings. Now I want to click on text style. Now you see here, everything is set to Hammersmith, and we've got desktop and mobile views. Paragraph, I'm going to stick with Open Sans. I like that, but I'm going to replace Hammersmith with, where is it? What did I replace it with? Ultra. And, you can play with the letter spacing or the font size or line height. I'm going to leave that for now. It is a good idea to get your line heights and everything right in the global style settings rather than on the page, because if you do it on the page, then you can get pretty deep into your design and then find some place where you realize maybe on mobile it's not looking great, and now you're stuck needing to go through and manually do it everywhere. Whereas if you just get it right out of the gate, everything is looking good, all the spacings are correct, then it's just always going to look good. And you want to do it for both mobile and desktop. But again, I'm in a rush here, so I'm just going to and I would usually change all of the heading fonts to the same one. I'm not going to bother with that in the interest of time. Text style, I'm going to come to mobile. I need to change that as well. Ultra. And just as an example, let's say I didn't like the line spacing in the paragraphs. I could come here and go, line height, and get it a little more squished together or get it further apart. But you want to get it right, before you go too deep into the design. So I don't remember where I had it. That's an important thing. I should have remembered because I was just swinging widely, but that looks pretty good. And again, this is just a quick sort of demo. I'm going to go back to desktop here. Now, I've got bold already turned on for this font, so I'm going to turn it off, which makes this particular font look a lot better. Now we want to mess with the color and size, so I come back here. I don't need to steal the size because we're going to play with that, but that color, the hex code, we click on that and we can see it here. We're just going to copy that. We're going to come back to TunePipe. We're going to come back to global style settings. And we're going to go to the color palette, and I'm going to get away from this gold, and I'm going to change it to that sort of peachy kind of color. And we're going to play with that like so. And you can change your secondary colors as well to anything you want. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to really ramp up the size. And I'm going to call it John Ojaka. Is it all caps on our example? Were they? Yeah, they were. So now I'll change the color, and we're just going to select that. And you might notice that all the buttons have all changed to that peachy color as well, because they're going to always inherit that sort of feature color. And we're starting to get somewhere. Maybe, let's change this to the official website of singer-songwriter John Ojaka, and maybe we can use that other font there if we're so inclined. That's not what I wanted. We could try, where is the Volcron font that we added? Why am I not seeing it? Or am I just staring right past it? We added Volcron, did we not? Or did I not save something? Let's just double check. No, we must have saved it, right? Add fonts. Yes, it is there. So let's just do a quick little refresh. And we're just going to highlight that again. And there it is. It might have been there all along. I just missed it. But, now we're starting to really benefit again from the work this designer has done, or the skill this designer brings to the table. I could also try to emulate that. Let's address the biggest issue here, which is this image. That's not me. I don't want that image. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But I like the general look of what we've got here. I could go and find an image of myself. Let's see. I don't know if I have got anything handy. I could take something like that. I don't know if this is going to look great or not. Just waiting for it to load. Click select. And, you can do a lot here with cropping the images, but, I might not want that much space. So I probably would come into this image and crop the bottom off a little bit so that when it naturally sat there, more of my head was in this image. But you get the idea. So sometimes you have to play with the image beforehand, but you might be going, well, that's hard to read. And it is, but we could come in here. We could add an overlay. we might go with a darker color like a black or a dark gray. Let's try the gray and just see what that looks like. It's okay. Let's see what the black looks like. I think it's a little better, but I still don't love that image. So I'm gonna go and find a stock image, something that I think works nicely with this, and this will be relevant for a lot of you. I'll come to a site called Pixabay, which has royalty-free images, and I might type in acoustic guitar. And let's see what we can. Oh, I'll type in, actually, I want black and white. So I'm going to go black and white acoustic guitar. Let's see what we can find. Kind of like the look of that. Anything else catching my eye? That's not bad. Let's try this. We'll open that up. We'll select download. I'm going to go with the 1280 by 853. I'm going to just download that. I am going to come back to my design. I'm going to swap out that image, upload another one, back to my downloads. There's the new image. Select it. Once it's loaded, we're going to click select. There we go. And we're going to come back to that overlay. The overlay is already in place. And, I think that looks pretty good. Now I come over to the header, click on the settings, select it, select the logo. I'll just type in John Ojaka. Oops. I want all caps. John Ojaka. I'm going to change the font to Ultra. Oops, I have to select it. Ultra. Get rid of the bold. Change the color. And I could come maybe to the menu. Maybe we'll use the Volcorn for that. Let's see what that's looking like. It's looking pretty good. I could even change these social icons if I wanted to, where we got the button hover color background, button background icon color. So a funny thing can happen sometimes with those buttons. I'll save it and I might need to refresh it to get just the buttons in the header. It's always like that. It requires a little refresh. But, we're starting to get somewhere. It might be too on the nose with all this color. I might actually like it the way it was with the gray. Something more like that. I think I personally do, to be honest. But I just don't want to create too much of that imbalance with that peachy kind of color. We could come over here, even do fancy things like see that gradient there in the button and how it's got rounded edges if we really wanted that. We could come in here. We could come to the border radius. Let's just give it some rounded edges. We could, let's see, where is our add gradient? Gradient settings. We could go with a light gray color. Let's just move it out of the way. Gradient type. We could go radial. We could go linear. Gradient angle. If we wanted it there. And we're looking pretty good. We could come back to that button, add an icon, just like in our example. Whoops, wrong button. I want to click edit. Let's go add icon. Let's click the icon. And instead of the check, let's do the play button, just like in the example. And instead of buy the album, it might be, watch the video. And, we could spend more time changing out the text or doing anything we want, but you're starting to see we've got something that's really looking quite different, but pretty darn good. We save it, we come over here, we can view it in a new tab, and we've got that nice parallax effect. And again, it requires a little more tweaking, but it's kind of as simple as that. We could come and change this background out. All we're really doing to customize our sites is adding unique backgrounds, unique fonts that work well together colors that work well together. And if you have design skills, you can come up with all of that yourself, or you can, browse design sites like Canva to get some ideas. And instead of just taking those other templates or those other designs, you can create your own using those principles. And I think that works really well. And you might be thinking like, yeah, but structure-wise, it's very much the same as, other sites in the network. And I would encourage you to embrace that because, again, the sites inside of TunePipe, they are the templates. Let me just pull them up. They are designed the way they are for a reason, and that's for conversions. The elements that you see, these templates, these sites, the types of pages we provide, they are the way they are because I've been a music marketer for over 15 years now, and I have a pretty good sense of what works, and I built that into the platform. So it's really all about optimization and conversions and building your list and then ultimately selling to that list. But you can absolutely deviate from that, and many people would have good reasons to do that at times, but the templates are a great starting off point, and I don't think you should be afraid of the built-in structure. And while there is variation between templates, there's a lot of similarity as well. But if you ever want to change anything, it's as simple as, let's say I didn't want to have a video here. Instead, I want maybe a 2-column template. I can just go, or two different columns rather. I can go and actually, let's see, what would I do? I'm gonna delete all of this. I'm going to delete that button. And now I'm going to add a new block. I'm going to click an empty block. And now inside of our site, we have blocks. And inside of the blocks, we have columns. Like right now, this is a single column block. So I want to change it to 2 columns. And now I might do something like take a image widget, drag it into place. Again, I don't have a lot of images here in place, so I'll just use that one that I added. And then I can just grab it by the corners there, fill up that space, and maybe I want to now come in over here and add a text heading, and I can say, meet John. Let's center it. And then I might come over here back to the widgets, add the text, and I could add a bio in here. Again, this is just placeholder text. Why is it not wanting to let me click in there? There we go. And fill up that bio like so. I even add a button if I wanted to the bottom of this by going in here and adding the button and, doing something like that, and maybe even linking to my store or individual product or anything else. And you can see how quickly this can kind of come together and how flexible it ultimately is. If I don't like the layout, I can just swap things around. Whoops, I dragged it into the wrong block. I can just drag that there, get that over there. If I want, different widths, I can, just drag things around like so. And really do anything that I want. So, yeah, there's my button. There we go. And then I would save it. So anyway, that's a quick look at how you can make some radical changes to your site. Keep it looking attractive. Make it uniquely your own, even with no design skills. If you ever have any questions or need any help or are trying to achieve something that you just don't know how to do, definitely get in touch because you really can do anything inside of TunePipe, including adding custom code, manipulating CSS, adding third-party functionality, using our API, and adding all kinds of advanced functionality to the site, including integrations with Zapier and webhooks and all sorts of fun stuff. But it can also be quick and simple, as I just showed you. All right, thanks for watching, and take care.